If you have questions, please notify us in the chat. And then recording is allowed, and you all should be able to do so by now. And in regards to timing, we'll have about 15 minutes today. And so with that, we'll start with our first question. Devin Walker.
Hey, Tyus, how you doing, man?
Good, how you doing?
Good. First off, congrats on the baby. Congrats on the baby boy. I want to ask you about that. Going to Orlando, you're leaving basically a newborn son here with your wife. How have those conversations been with your wife, and how you kind of like compartmentalize doing that so suddenly?
Yeah, thank you on that. And then it's been tough, man. Obviously, this whole experience, the whole pandemic, has been tough on everybody just because we haven't experienced anything quite like this. So then on top of that, the bubble situation for the NBA is another situation that none of us players have had to deal with. And then on top of that, you're throwing in having to, like you said, leave my newborn son, which is extremely, extremely tough. But those conversations that we've been having is just just trying to at first decide what is best. Did I feel comfortable leaving? Did I feel comfortable, going to the bubble and being away from her and from our newborn? And ultimately ended up deciding that was comfortable enough doing that, but that doesn't make it any easier not being there. So just been spending gonna be a lot of hours spent on FaceTime, and got a lot of pictures, of him already. So it's gonna be tough, but it's just a sacrifice that I have to make.
All right, next question, Teresa Walker.
Tyus, hi. How important is depth going to be? It's always important during a season, but with this compressed time frame and the possibility of somebody maybe testing positive and not being able to play, does that put depth like what you all have very crucial at this point?
It definitely does. Depth is always important, but especially in this situation, like you said, with playing games at every other night, with a back-to-back sprinkled in there, and then obviously not knowing anyone can test positive at any moment. Obviously, hoping nobody does. Hopefully, everyone stays safe and healthy. But with that factored in, you never know. It's obviously better to have more depth, to err on the side of caution, than to not have as much depth. So we definitely feel like we're sitting in a good spot, depth-wise, roster-wise, and finally having everyone back healthy is only a positive.
Evan Barnes.
Tyus, how's it going?
Good.
Good. For most of the team, playing with Justice is going to be something that's a new experience, but you've obviously played with him at Duke. So what can, the team and kind of fans expect seeing him healthy and being on the floor? What does he bring to the team?
He brings a lot of grit, a lot of toughness. Being a smart player, but just a big physical body. Someone who plays the game the right way, someone who's going to do whatever it takes for his team to win. And that's what makes him such a joy to play alongside. So I think, he's going to fit in great, with the Memphis, with our organization. He already has been fitting in great, but and that's not even being able to get on the court yet. So I know the fans will love him. Us teammates, we already love him, but we'll love him even more being able to get out there and play alongside of him. So he just adds another great basketball IQ, another physical body, great defender, and another guy who's doing whatever it takes to win. So I can't wait for it.
Next up, Parker Fleming.
Hi, Tyus. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Doing good. So just to follow up on Evan's question is, you and Justice have already played together. How do you see your guys' game, how they mesh together and how they complement one another?
To piggyback off last answer, just he's a high IQ guy, someone who's very unselfish, loves to make plays for the guy next to him. And I think obviously we have the chemistry on court already from being college teammates. So we know where each other likes the basketball, things like that. So we already have that chemistry on court, and I know that'll trickle down to everyone else out there on the court. You know, when you got as many unselfish guys that we do, you know, he's going to fit in and gel right away.
Sharon Brown.
Hi, Tyus. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. I wanted to ask you, how did, as a veteran on the team, how do you keep your young guys focused, you know, during the hiatus, and you guys getting ready to restart?
Yeah, just trying to stay as positive as we can, trying to continue to have fun, as much fun as we can. At the end of the day, we're still playing basketball, the game that we all love, and at the end of the day, we're all going through the same situation. So trying to just be there for each other, trying to take it one day at a time, and trying to look at it as positive as we can. Is, you know, that we are going to be able to play basketball again after, you know, having to you know, sit around the house, you know, for months now. So just trying to look at it as, you know, a fresh start, fresh restart to the season, and just trying to be there for one another and then come into this collective day as a unit.
James Herbert.
Hey, Tyus. It feels like a million years ago, but before the hiatus, we'd actually had a conversation in Brooklyn, and you were telling me about how you thought this was a special team, and just generally, like, you were extremely optimistic about where things were going and making a playoff push and all that. Like, when the season gets interrupted the way it did, and when there's uncertainty and you don't know whether or not you're even going to get to finish this season off, like, what was that like for you, just from a basketball perspective?
Obviously it was unfortunate. You know, obviously we felt like we were in a good spot. We felt like we were playing good basketball, and you know, we just wanted to keep it rolling. You know, with the postseason kind of slowly, you know, it was slowly approaching. You know, we just felt like that was a time where we were going to try to continue to hit our stride and try to play our best basketball there heading into the you know, the home stretch, the final stretch of the season. So it was unfortunate. Obviously, no one wants to sit around and not be able to play basketball for as long as we did. But at the same time, now we're trying to just make light of it, you know, as best as we can, and then look at it like we are getting an opportunity now to go play ball. So, you know, let's try to pick it up where we left off, you know, as best as possible, and try to just hit the ground running.
Next question, Anthony Sane.
Hi, what's going on, bro?
How are we doing?
Just had a quick question for you. You're from the Minneapolis area, which is where the whole George Floyd situation happened. There's been a lot of talk about you guys being distracted or being pulled away from the protests and just the movement towards racial equality. Do you think that it's possible for players to still advocate for that cause? And do you guys as a team or individuals have anything planned for when you guys go to Orlando?
Yeah, I think it will be possible for guys to continue to stay focused on basketball at the same time as being able to stand up and make you know, use our voice and our platform to make a difference. I think for some guys it will be more difficult, but I do think it is possible still. And as a team, as far as, you know, a team goes or individually goes, you know, there will be, you know, a time and a place to you know, make a statement or you know, speak out. And as of right now, I'm just not comfortable doing that. So that's all I got to say, you know, on that topic.
Drew Hill.
Hey, Tyus, just away from the basketball court, what's been the best thing about being a dad so far?
I mean, everything, honestly, just being around him, you know, and just looking at him. I catch myself just staring at him every day, just thinking that, you know, that's my son. And, you know, it's just, they're so innocent and so dependent on you. And, you just create this bond the second that they enter this world. That's, you know, can't even put it into words. So, just being able to just hold them, just spend time with them has been the best part. And it's just a bond that is much stronger than anything I've ever felt or experienced. And it's something that I wouldn't change for the world.
Devin Walker.
Tyus, at home, you guys feed off the crowd, the FedEx Forum crowd. On the road, you feed off the boos and the cheers from the road crowd. In this situation, you're going to be basically silent or music. How do you guys kind of find energy within yourself to kind of keep it going when runs happen or when you need some energy?
Just relying on one another, just sticking together. I think down in Orlando, it'll really be a test to see, what teams are the closest, what teams have the best camaraderie, what teams have the best chemistry, because it's gonna depend on how close you are, how tight and how much, you guys can lean on one another, because like you said, there are so many different factors that factor into games that I think people don't realize. And, home court advantage is one thing, and, playing off the fans and different things like that. So being able to stop runs, and there's a number of different factors, but it'll be, whichever team's the closest, I think, and on the same page with everything, I think is what you'll see, when they come out and start playing, it'll make a difference.
Megan Rice.
It's obviously coronavirus cases are spiking all over the country, in particular in Orlando. How much of that is a concern for you and the players, as well as are you confident that the bubble will be able to keep you guys safe?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a concern. Definitely not the timing that I don't think anyone would have hoped for the cases in Florida to be rising, right now as we're about to head down to the bubble. But at the same time, I think the NBA has done, a great job putting a plan together. I think they've done, got the best plan that they could come up with, for us. And I don't think, they would have us going down there if they weren't, fully confident in the bubble and in what they have in store for us. So, once the plan was okayed on, I think, guys just trusted in them, and, hopefully everyone stays safe.
All right, we have time for 2 more questions. We'll start with James Herbert.
Hey, Tyus. So given that the last time you were playing competitive basketball, there were a couple of big injuries with Jaren and Brandon, given that Justice is going to be making his debut for the team, and just that it's been as long as a normal offseason, like, does this feel like you're just picking up where you left off, like you referenced earlier? Does it feel sort of like a new thing?
It's a little bit of both. That's a good way to put it. It's also, it kind of does feel like it's like a new start. Even though it's the season is getting continued, it's almost like a new season, in a way. We have some new bodies that we haven't, got to get on the floor with yet, in Justice. And, when we left off, we were a little banged up. So it'll be nice and different to be at full strength. And, I think that'll be a key, is trying to get everyone, like I said, on the same page as quickly as possible. Try to hit the ground running as best that we can, and use the fact that we're at full strength finally now and have the extra bodies, use that to our advantage.
All right, last question, Evan Barnes.
Tyus, just picking back off earlier, Ja obviously has a young child as well, and you guys are such a great relationship. Has that, with you being a new dad, has that kind of made your bond even more tighter, just bonding not just over basketball and being point guards, but now being, new dads?
Yeah, no, it definitely has. We, obviously we've talked throughout the break, and it's just another thing that now we both can relate to one another, in another way. So it's definitely made us closer, made our bond even tighter, and now getting to head down to the bubble and start to be around each other. It'd be cool to have kind of that thing in common with them.
All right, thank you for joining us today, Tyus.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Everyone have a good one.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll send out more information regarding tomorrow's availability.